G'day, this is Jace. In this video, let's install a cheap heads-up display so you don't have to keep moving your eyes all over the place to check your speed. All for less than 30 bucks. Let's power up. So in Australia, there are mobile speed cameras all over the place that will get you a fine of hundreds of dollars by being over the speed limit by as little as 3 kilometers an hour or 1 mile per hour. Let's take a look at the HUD. So this tiny heads-up display was about 30 bucks and it's designed for the cars with the Ryzen CPUs made after 2021. This particular one is a Yonsei brand and I'll put the link in the description below if you want to buy the exact version. From the manual, the installation looks relatively straightforward. The box comes with a blue plastic tool to assist in hiding the cables behind panels. The mini heads-up display comes with what looks like a 2 meter or 6 foot power cable attached. An SD card with what I can only assume is a way to update the firmware. There is no mention of it in the manual itself. And finally, the data and power plug that hijacks the information from the car to display on the heads-up display unit. The HUD unit shows the gear, high beam, open doors, indicators, charging reminder, and the hold or / parking icon. The manual has a decent description of each icon and generally how to install it. Let's get this installed. First things first, power off your car via the safety option in the settings so that we don't get zapped. Step 1 involves taking apart the side of the dash to start off the cabling from the HUD. Just use the included plastic tool to remove the panel. Then place the HUD in the air vent and feed the cable into the end. There is a gap that you can feed it under. You just have to lift it up and push it through. So I wanted to try a couple of options for the HUD location. The other location was on top of the dash while hiding the cable in the groove. Make sure the cable is secured in place by shoving it in with the tool. Don't worry about which option and where you want to put the HUD right now. We can change that later in the final step. At this stage you can put the panel back on the side of the dash and we can head underneath the driver's side to start feeding the cable into those panels. So underneath the driver's side, the cable just hangs there. There's a panel where your leg goes next to. We want to feed it behind this panel using the tool and our fingers. We then want to feed it underneath the door area, underneath the plastic there, all the way to the side of the driver's seat. I found it handy to use the tool to lift up the plastic and then just use my index finger to push the cabling underneath. Now that the front cabling is done, let's go to the back seat area. Make sure the cable goes under the seat rails and follows the groove in the floor. You don't want this catching on anything when the seat is adjusted. The panel we need to open is the one in the center, closest to the floor. This part took me the longest as the panel is in the awkward position. So removing this panel will expose a blue data plug. We just need to unplug it and use the hijack adapter in between. The adapter also has a small power cable that connects to the end of the HUD cable. Plug that in first and make sure the arrows line up. and then use the tool or your fingers to push the release button on the blue plugs to release it. Make sure the hijack plug is in place by listening for the securing click sounds. Now neaten it up and feed the excess cabling through the cavity at the bottom. Click the panel back in place, adjust the cable locations if necessary if it doesn't actually close easily. So that's all the hard work done. Check that the cables are not too loose and are all in position. The last step is working out where you want to put the display. It depends on your preference and possibly height. The first location is on the dash close to the windscreen. It's not by the manual, but I stuck it there with double-sided tape as it was good for my height and it was great during the day. No more moving my eyes all around roaming for the speedo. The second option was by the manual itself, installing it in the air vent. It definitely felt like a cleaner look, just a bit difficult to hide the cabling inside unless you want to take the middle dash panel off, but I couldn't be bothered and did the best with the included tool and my hands. You have to lift the air vent a little bit to put it in because it's quite a tight fit. I looped the excess length into the side panel and closed it off. As always, I like to get the worst parts out of the way, so here are my extremely petty list of cons. So what are the cons? If installing near the windscreen, I had to deal with the reflections at night. This annoyed me but made me think it would be cool if the numbers could flip at night so the reflection was readable. Another con is that the reflection in the direct sun of the unit itself means you can't see it sometimes, but this is quite rare. The last con is the size of the numbers. If installed in the dash, the numbers are only slightly larger than the ones on the screen, but the contrast is really awesome. Which brings me to the pros. The numbers are so much clearer to read than the screen itself. The contrast between the black and the lit up numbers makes it faster to read at a glance. Also, if you like to hold the steering wheel at a 10 and 2, then you will no longer care about the issue of your hand blocking the speedo on the screen. I noticed that I changed my driving style just to cater for this when I got this car. The other pro is that in 3 seconds it changes to show the remaining range of the car. This is a cool feature that reminds me to plug in when I get home. So what do you think of this heads-up display? Would you get one for only $30? I think I'll keep mine installed. I hope you enjoyed watching Tesla Cheap Accessories Part 2. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Power out.